of mental health challenges, I'll just say that, because it's not always an illness. It can be a challenge as well.
Yeah.
For example, anxiety is a very high level of cortisol in our systems, and the level is high, and it doesn't go down and up and down like it should in a normal functioning brain.
Yeah.
It's always at a high level, and it can destroy a
Hello,
person.
our viewers, and welcome again to the 145 booth, the season finale, and we're so excited for this. This has been a brilliant journey. Thank you everyone for joining us on this wonderful journey, for speaking with us about mental health in the creative space, and I hope that you've learned one thing or another. And today, as per usual, we have an amazing guest, and at this point I realized I didn't tell you who I am. My name is Lydia Ndwiga, and I will be your host for this show, so enjoy. And if you haven't followed us on all our social media platforms, we are there at the 145 booth. And as per usual, I do not introduce my guests personally. I just tell them to introduce themselves, because I will not do enough justice to the guests who come to this show. They are special to us, they are wonderful to us, and they have helped us through this journey to just understand and kind of demystify what mental health for creatives looks like. Today we have another amazing guest with us. And yeah, on to our guest.
Amazing.
Yes, amazing.
Wow, that's pretty good. My name is David Jones, and Mimi Muzungu. I'm from the U.S. I'm from California. I've been in Kenya almost 8 years now, and I'm a counseling psychologist, mostly on the university level at Africa Nazarene University, but I also do from children to adults in private practice as well.
Yeah, and thank you for having us here. Like literally, when you just walk in, the first thing you're thinking, my mental health is at zero.
Good. Yeah, it's not a bad place for to relax and
can we come back again?
Yes, you're welcome, and it's a pleasure having you all here.
How long can we stay?
Oh, well, I have to ask Sharon about that.
Sharon. Yeah, it's a beautiful
but you're welcome.
Yeah, and also just interacting with the whole space even before the interview has just been very refreshing.
Good.
And yeah, so thank you for having us, and thank you for inviting us into your space. All right, so maybe we can start by you telling us, what is mental health? You're a therapist. I mean, you've done this for a while. And what is mental health? Because each one of us has a way of describing it, and it's interesting. Perhaps we shall share with you some of the clips that we've already done. Everyone has their own description of what mental health looks like. Someone will either look at it from a place of balance, a place of themselves. Another will look at it from a place of a mental illness. But for you as a therapist, for you and how long you've worked in this space, what is mental health to you?
Good question, because like you said, it's broad.
Yeah.
It's very, very broad. But I think I can boil it down to pretty simple terms. And that is the ability for us humans, the brains that we have, the souls that I believe that we have, can we navigate this life that's full of struggles, full of problems, full of pain, grief, relationship issues? Can we navigate those things in a successful way and remain, like you said, balanced?
Yeah.
One of my mantras is balance, poise, direction, and calm. If we can live in that vein without going too high or too low, that would be a simple definition of mental health for me.
Yeah. And why this career? Like why, I know there's a lot that is involved in there, and there's a lot of study that you need to do, because first of all, I'm a voice coach. So I usually tell my students, I will not train you if I haven't been trained yet, because the voice is a very, very delicate part of your body. I know the brain is pretty much how do I say it? It's the center of the whole body, like it's the mechanism controller, if I may say that. Why did you choose this career, yet there's so much risk to it? Like literally, if you tell someone something and they follow and it was wrong, you've literally interrupted the rest of their lives. Why this career?
I chose this career at midlife, actually, at around 40 years old. And so I've been at this over 20 years now. And I needed to go back to school, and I wanted to go into some type of ministry without being behind a pulpit, without being called a preacher, without being called a missionary. But in my research of what I wanted to study, and the school I wanted to go with, what they had was a Christian counseling degree. And so that's what I chose, and I just said, this is really for me. This is really, really working out, and it was something I believe God guided me into. In midlife.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I like that you mentioned that ministry does not have to be behind the pulpit. Like,
Right.
God has given us giftings, and we were just talking about it earlier. God has given us different giftings and talents, and we are to use them for the believer. So what does it take to be a good therapist?
I think number one is listening. Maybe equally as important as being non-judgmental. Being able to hold the confidence
Yeah.
of the interaction. I think establishing a therapeutic relationship of trust is the most important thing.
Yeah.
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 Then everything can come after that, the process. Now, you mentioned something about me giving advice, and maybe I'm giving the wrong advice to somebody, and they spin off in the wrong direction.
Yeah.
My modality of therapy is client-centered. So it's the client that drives and directs the way the therapy goes. I'm just there to not stand in front and pull them, not stand behind and push them, but to walk beside them in their journey where they want to go. So one of my opening questions in a first session is, what do you want? What is it that you want? Why have you come? And they'll let me know. Or we will work towards finding out exactly what they want, because some people don't know. But a lot of people just want peace of mind.
Yeah.
They want to worry less. They want to be able to sleep at night. They want to be happier. They want less anxiety. There's a lot of things. But when they show me what they want or tell me what they want, then we have the direction part of that mantra of we know where we need to go. So if we're diverging, then we need to get back on track. And so it's led by the client, and I'm not an advice giver. More of maybe a vessel who hears what they are wanting to get off their chest, and then we talk about maybe some tools to assist them to get to where they want, with more peace in their life, more balance. Yeah.
Okay. So there's something very interesting you said. You're not an advice giver. And I know that a lot of times when we approach the people we want to hear telling us it's going to be okay, we are mostly looking for a decision to be made. Maybe we are coming to ask, so how should I move on from here? How should I do this and this and that? So what's the difference between me, who can be a friend, who can give advice to another friend, and you, the therapist, who's actually helping someone from the aspect of being a therapist, not necessarily a friend? How do I differentiate the two? And if you're a therapist, are you allowed to actually give me advice over something that I'm struggling with?
I think the last part of your question, I'll answer first. Sure. But that's only in line with what the client wants, with what you want, the direction that you want to go.
That I want it to go.
Maybe I expose some discrepancy in what the client wants, but how the client is behaving.
Yeah.
Or their lifestyle. It's not lining up with where they want to go, and I will expose that discrepancy.
Yeah.
And then we'll talk about it and see if we can get the alignment there, the behavior, the belief system, the positive self-affirmations, their self-esteem back, that sort of thing. It's advice, but it's in line with what the client wants.
All right.
The difference between a friend and a therapist, and the reason why we have jobs, and the reason we're around, is because we're not the pastor, we're not the parent, we're not the friend. What else? The people that know you don't necessarily want to hear what's going down deep, what's going on down deep inside of your soul.
Yeah.
Deep, dark secrets, maybe. Pastors are kind of, let's let's just have you read the Bible more.
Yeah, pray more.
Yes.
Confess your sins
Confess,
more.
yeah. Let me know what's happening. But then that's liable to can backfire. And by ethical standards, a therapist will not share anything what we talk about with anyone. So even, for instance, my wife has no idea who I'm seeing and what we're talking about. It's just part of it, the confidentiality. So that in and of itself offers that trust, because how many of us have really poured our hearts out to a friend, and the next thing you know, all the friends know about it.
Yeah, or there's a story about you, or
There's a
someone
story
about you. Yeah.
Or they start treating you differently.
Yeah.
Some friends you can, of course, but others, it's just a special kind of, what would you call it, a relationship of trust and non-judgment. Yeah, because almost everybody's going to judge you.
Yeah.
Especially your family, your pastor, your friends will judge you.
Even you judge yourself.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
But you won't find it in my therapy office now.
Yeah, and I'm asking all this because I know there's this thing that we have behind a therapist. Most of the time we are afraid to go there because if you tell someone I'm seeing a therapist, everyone will think, oh, you're cuckoo. You need to be somewhere admitted in a mental hospital or something in that direction. And especially if, okay, not especially really, but as creatives, sometimes it feels that way. And then there'll be this question, and I think I have tackled it a lot in a lot of episodes, where we are told, why are you struggling? And yet we are running to your product to feel better. I mean, you're the people who are giving us the music. You're the people who are giving us the films. We are laughing, and that's the place we run to. But for you creatives, where do you run to? And so with that, I don't know if you have worked with creatives before, and not necessarily in the category of now I am a therapist for creatives alone. Have you had a chance where you're able to just do therapy for creatives, and how was that?
Absolutely, yeah. They come into my office quite often, and I have lived with a creative and raised one.
Yeah, please tell us about it. Yeah.
So absolutely. But I will say this, and Friday I was speaking to at a workshop to athletes and coaches, and it was directed towards athletes. Today it's directed toward creatives, but we're all human.
We're all human.
We're all human.
True.
We all struggle with some of the same issues. But for the creatives, it seems to be a kind of a common thread is the self-esteem and being worthy of what they create, and to have a confidence in it. Like a lot of what I've seen is I'm not good enough. What I produce is really not what people are wanting to hear or see or enjoy. So it's maybe slight nuances, but coming with different issues too. I didn't counsel my son, but did my best to raise him well, and I'm happy to say he's 31 years old now, and he's in the creative business and musician, and quite healthy and happy. But growing up it was a struggle, so it was a lot of extra care for him in his developmental stages.
And sorry to ask, how does that affect you? I know because parents have a lot that you need to work with, and I really honor parents. Like, you guys go through so much. But how does that affect your mental space as well? Even now as you're doing therapy, has it helped you, like being a therapist, has it helped you be able to work around your son a little bit better? Has that given you a clear understanding of probably what mental health looks like for your son as well? Like, how does that environment look like for you, and especially in terms of how you would bring up your child in that category?
I was just entering into the education of getting the degree and so on when my son was young and really, really struggling. So I didn't have like a professional kind of an experienced from being a therapist side of it. I was just trying to be the best dad I could be, and getting him the assistance that he needed, and showing him the love and the encouragement and the accepting part of it. So I think just in my personality, maybe, it fits well into being a therapist.
Yeah.
And I hope, my children would think and remember, well, Dad was he's really a helpful guy.
Yeah.
He's a good guide and raised us well. Yeah.
All right. And then I know you said we are human. We are all human. We all struggle the same. But is there an excuse, a specific excuse that you've actually, or probably noticed with the creatives, why they don't like probably getting therapy? Like a lot of people everyone will have their own excuses, but not just trying to categorize it. Is there a specific excuse or many excuses that a creative will basically have for not wanting to get in touch with a therapist?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Because if they don't want to come, then I don't know the reason why. Maybe I could say some that have arrived in my office and I've worked with, maybe struggled to get to that point, because it's the creative is projecting their skills. Skills are coming out, and it's sometimes difficult, maybe more so for creatives, but for a lot of people as well, doing whatever, to look inwardly, and to really examine oneself, and to face maybe some demons that they know are there. Demons, I mean, depression and anxiety, low self-esteem, having not addressed traumas in their early years. These are the things that people are afraid of facing. So I will always encourage my clients and really praise them on their courage when they do come. But I think the reason why people don't come, as you mentioned it earlier, is the stigma. Yeah. It's the stigma of, oh, you're seeing a therapist? What's wrong with you?
What's wrong with you?
Yeah. And especially the older generations, they don't understand it. I'm fine. What happened to you? I didn't need a therapist.
No.
As they're beating their children with sticks, or something, or they're suffering with depression and don't even know it, or won't admit it. Or living with past traumas. Traumas, that one of those things that really sticks to a person's soul and brain and body. The whole holistic. It affects the holistic person. Yeah. So I think it's the fear and the stigma. Yeah. Primarily.
Now that you mentioned that, actually, the African setting, when you talk about mental health, everyone talks about mental sickness, and then there's this popular hospital we have that everyone will tell you that that's what they know about. So even growing up in our homesteads, and if you ever told your mom, I'm feeling depressed, they would ask you, are you paying rent? Are you paying for your food? You're just fine. And there's this line we usually have that, sorry to use this, and I hope it doesn't sound derogative, we usually say that mental health and illnesses are a taboo in the African community. Naizoni shida za wazungu. Do you understand that? The way we usually say it's a problem with the Western culture, and you have brought they have brought the problem to us. Yeah. So if that is, if right now, having understood what mental health looks like, what would you tell someone in an African setting in the inner parts of, say, very rural areas, and they're actually struggling with things like being sold off to marriage at a very young age? They actually have no mental health understanding at all. How would you start that discussion to actually tell someone that you need to take care of your mental health in a space where they've never heard what mental health is about, or in a space where they've actually been told mental health is not a problem? That's not ours to deal with. How would you tell someone like that? Because we usually say sometimes you come from the village, you come to Nairobi, and you're seeing so many things happening, and you're told there's something wrong with your mental state of mind. How do you start convincing that person that, yes, we need to have a checkup, or you need to get in touch with a therapist, and there's something that you're struggling with? How do you get someone from that place of, I don't need it, to the place for, yeah, this is actually very important for me?
It's actually almost impossible.
Yeah.
To do that. My modality of counseling, I wait for the client to come to me. Oh, wow. I'll never say to a person, hey, you need to come see me. You got something going on that needs addressing. I may invite somebody. I said, hey, come and let's chat. But it has to be very open. again, non-judgmental. And I have to be really aware of what culture I come from and what culture I've landed in.
Yeah.
And I often will ask, because it's important in Kenya, a lot about the family, the tribe, the culture, because it's really important to get that background and what setting are they coming from.
Yeah.
But it's very difficult to address mental health when it's somebody else's problem. It doesn't exist in Africa, or it doesn't exist in our generation.
Yeah.
You can't convince somebody.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have to really wait until they're at a point where they realize they need something, and they may come. There is a bit of a caveat to that, and in the school system, I will receive some disciplinary cases where they're forced to come and see me. In the U.S., there was a situation like that too. I did group therapy. I had 12 guys around in a room, all different races, ethnicities, but they were violent domestic offenders. And they were forced to come to group therapy, and they had to pay. So it was court ordered. They have to do 52 sessions, and they have to pay every week. And most of them are very unhappy to be there. They're looking at me like, this guy, what does he know? You know, and they don't like me because I'm trying to assist them and change their ways. Because they've been court ordered. They've been in prison in some cases, and they're coming out now. They need to do this course. A very gentle and non-judgmental approach again. It's just thinking back and having some memories of at one point being a little bit of afraid of this giant man sitting next to me, berating me and telling me I knew nothing about his life, and you know, who are you anyway? But just full of expletives. And when he leaned over, it was like he was in my face. He was so huge. And I just had to let him rant. And I could see the other guys in the room were getting nervous because this guy was really coming after me. So I just let him roll and roll and roll until he was finished. And he sat back and he goes, "Okay, I'm good." I go, "How did that feel?" How was that? You know, he ended up being one of my biggest success stories. Really, really went on to do well and staying out of trouble. But that would be a caveat, you know, for disciplinary or legal reasons to come and see. I hope that answers the question.
Yeah, it does. It does. And just to ask this question, I've had a lot of people being told, "You're asking me therapist questions." You know, how is it to be a friend to someone? Because a lot of times, and then there's someone who actually said of another therapist, "Oh, I feel like she's just reading my head. I feel like she's just getting into my mind and trying to figure out what's wrong with me," or something like that. How easy is it to have friends around you? I'm just curious, because a lot of people will be like, "Oh yeah, you'll just go," and they'll ask you, "How do you feel? How did that make you feel? Why do you think that happened?"
Right.
Yeah. So maybe to just tell someone how important therapy is. But yeah, how easy is it to actually have friends around you who actually don't feel that's your role around them?
Right. It's not my role.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not my role in my family or with my friends or colleagues.
Yeah.
It's just not. So there's a delineation.
Yeah.
With my friends, we'll talk about sports, or we'll talk about current events, or maybe we'll talk about what's going on in families and that sort of thing. But I don't try to do therapy with them. I may refer them, like,
someone.
I think you could benefit,
Yeah.
you know, by maybe seeing somebody and getting a lot of this off of your chest, or so on. So even with some close family members, I have encouraged therapy, but not with me. We keep our boundaries. Yeah, you can't really cross those boundaries. Because it's funny, because where I work at the lunch table, I will often be sitting alone because people don't want to come and sit with the therapist. You know, because they might be afraid that I'm going to be doing therapy or reading their mind,
You're
or
struggling with, you are like this.
So it's it kind of amuses me that there will be a table packed full of colleagues but I'll be sitting by myself.
Yeah.
Yeah, myself and my phone, and
Yeah.
yeah. So,
Okay.
but I understand it too. It's not something I take offense at. But yeah, like some of the students, they won't ever talk to me out in the milieu around campus or whatever. But when they come in, then we're tight. But they won't let on that I'm or that they're coming to see me. It's a very private sort of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, so it's something that you learn professionally, not to try and do therapy with your friends, counsel your friends. So I think my friends feel comfortable with me.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and I think
hope so.
everyone here can feel comfortable with you, right?
Yes, I hope so. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because sometimes we make it look like going to a therapist will actually find you getting very judged, or maybe you're leaving them with that idea for what's wrong with this person. Why don't they listen to me? Why wouldn't they? So I think that's one of the things that I think I personally would struggle with, because you want to always have this perfect picture in front of people. You don't want anyone to know that you're actually struggling.
Right.
Yeah, and some of those things that when you're getting on stage, you're supposed to be happy and vibrant in a mood that everyone is, but when you get off stage, you're the only one who knows what you're fighting with.
Exactly.
Yeah. So for the creative, how important is it? And I know we have tried to make the 145 booth a place for safety and all that. How important is it for the creative to have a safe space? And what safe space can a creative create for themselves?
I think that's powerful question. And for the creative, I think it would be about self-esteem and self-worth, self-love.
Yeah.
Another thing we call mindful self-compassion, to allow yourself to be imperfect,
Yeah.
because creatives want to be perfect,
All the time.
whatever
Every
they're
time.
doing.
Yeah.
If they're singing, dancing, doing art, sculpture, whatever it is. The idea of perfection is so strong that I think they're quite self-critical
Yeah.
and unforgiving, mainly to themselves. So I think achieving that balance and that self-worth is probably a challenging thing
It is.
amongst creatives.
Yeah.
Well, you can attest to
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. It's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's a process, being able to first like yourself and then be okay with yourself,
Yeah.
and not be ashamed of who you are, what you produce, and to be forgiving when we're not perfect.
Yeah.
Because oftentimes, and even in my life, in my personality, I was my toughest abuser, really. The way I spoke to myself, I would never speak to an enemy. It's horrible.
It's horrible.
But I think creatives also put up with that. And I think that may be, and I haven't read studies directed towards creatives, but we can see what's happened.
Yeah.
I mean, throughout history, painters, sculptors, and creative geniuses living very turbulent lives. And often, and in the 20th century, in the 1900s, we often lost creatives to, and this century as well, to suicide. Because I think they're just so unforgiving, and they don't learn to love themselves for who they are, and they're worried about that image, especially performers, or maybe even artists who paint and sculpt. They have to be perfect, and they have to put out a product that people are really going to enjoy or buy or something. So, yeah, self-balance, and self-love, self-compassion, self-forgiveness.
Yeah.
Those sort of things, and those are hard to teach.
Yeah.
You can teach the importance of it,
Yeah.
but then to actually have your client do the work, that's a process. Because you can teach it, but how do you really assist your client to practice it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Does that make sense to you?
It does make a lot of sense, because the other day I was having a talk with someone, and they were saying we have a way of wanting to give a good product, but we never really want to give ourselves a good product. So we are always willing to either sell or actually heal, or have an initiative that is going to heal through our creativity, but we never really know how to give that back to ourselves.
Right.
And so that's nothing someone is really able to teach you. We can tell you the necessities of it, but it's something that someone, and then you do all these great things and then you go sell your stuff and it doesn't give you what you wanted from it. So it's value against money. So you have so many things you're struggling with. So I get it completely. And now that you talk about self-worth and self-love and just having confidence in your creativity, let's talk about social media and the creative, because I feel like there's a lot of invalidation and validation that comes from there, which now makes you feel, okay, now I am worthy. If someone likes my content, if someone likes my picture, then I must be very beautiful, right? Yeah. So what is the place of the social media space and the creative, and how would you tell the creative to use social media in a way that actually helps their mental space?
Social media, it's becoming a scourge across the world. I deal with the fallout, the effects, the negative effects of social media almost on a daily basis with young people and even adults. But for the creative, if they're creating, are you talking about doing videos and doing podcasts and that sort of thing, like TikTok and Instagram? For one to base their worth on the number of likes they get, what a dangerous place to be.
It is.
What a dangerous place to be.
Yeah.
And it's a falsehood of self-worth, and it's detrimental to the person's happiness. So I'm usually on the side of the viewer, somebody who's scrolling, and they can't help but compare their lives to the lives of these creators.
Yeah.
Who may go home to a hell that we don't know about, but on screen, they look perfect. They're made up perfectly. They look beautiful. They're talented. Whatever. So I think it was President Roosevelt, who was at the turn of the 19th, 20th century in the United States, well before social media, obviously, said comparison is the thief of joy.
Yes, it is.
And I think creatives can get it caught up in that as well, creating or comparing their content and their amount of subscribers to others, and getting their self-worth from that, or their maybe I'm not so talented as I think I am. I think the creative, what I would try to teach and try to assist with somebody who's struggling with that, is to now go inward and let's find the value of your life as a whole.
As a whole.
Not just you as a creative, but you as a person. Let's get to that core value of you as a person and get you to be happy with yourself. And then I would ask, do you enjoy your product? Do you like looking at your paintings? Do you like hearing your own voice?
Yeah.
Do you enjoy that?
Yeah.
Is the product you're putting out there, it's difficult because you're putting your product out there to be judged.
Yes.
To be criticized, liked or not. I mean, there's art critics, isn't there?
Yeah, there are.
There's music critics.
There are.
There's film critics.
A lot.
They're called critics, imagine.
Yeah.
So if you succumb to that, that's a horrible place to be. To base your life and your happiness on what somebody else's opinion is. Often I will just tell people, don't care what other people think about you. Why do you care? Why is it so important that you want to be so popular and you want people to like you? Why? Let's start with liking yourself, loving yourself, forgiving yourself.
Forgiving yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And go back to balance. But getting back to that original point, if you like your product, forget what everybody else is saying.
Yeah.
If you like it, then enjoy it.
Enjoy it.
Enjoy the process. And you know, I have a few things around here that I've made, and they're not for sale, and they're not for show. I'm just, my wife likes them, you know, and she'll like it, but I do it because I enjoy it. And if it may appear in the house or not, but it's for me to enjoy and go, oh, I did that.
I did that.
Imagine that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be on social media.
Doesn't have to be on social media. No, I don't post these things.
Yeah.
I'm not looking for likes.
And then we also know that the creative life is very much in social media because it's an important place for, you know, advertising our goods and our products.
It's necessary.
Yeah, so we just need to know how to use everything that is available to us and at the same time maintain the balance in our mental health. And I know this might not be a proper question per se, and it might not really solve anyone's problems as well. But is there a little checklist you could give a creative to have to just check their mental health? Like every morning when I wake up and I look at my music and I don't like how it sounds, maybe there's a problem. Or every time I don't appreciate myself, maybe there's a problem. Is there like a really short checklist that you would give a creative to start now telling themselves, okay, there's something I'm struggling with. I need to seek help?
Yeah, I think so. Let me see if this works. I teach a tool called compartmentalization. And it's something you can do any time of the day, anywhere. And I spent a lot of time on the ocean in my first half of my life. Commercial fishing, sport fishing, sailing, surfing pretty much all of my life. But being on boats, ships are compartmentalized now. The Titanic wasn't. So there's that one gash, sunk the whole unsinkable ship. Now ships are compartmentalized, watertight compartments. So if there is a gash, or on a Navy ship, if there's a missile that hits it, now we can kind of think of ourselves as a ship. We need to keep afloat. We need to continue going in our lives in a direction. But if we're hit by a missile of death in the family, of a relationship issue, of a friend offending you somehow, or a boss constantly yelling at you, or maybe a creator's slump. I just don't have anything to paint. I don't have anything to write about. My voice is not feeling right. Whatever those things are that we come across, those bumps in life, can, if we're not compartmentalized, can affect every aspect of our lives.
So true.
And it doesn't need to. It doesn't need to. So compartmentalization is not about not addressing these things, but it's about, let's say it's a fight with the spouse or in your romantic relationship, which really can take its toll on somebody.
It can.
So for the creative, can wake up and do a checklist of, okay, I'm not feeling creative and I'm feeling like I'm in a slump, but how's my relationship with my spouse or loved one, my partner? How is my relationship with my family? If they're believers, how is my spiritual life going? These are all different compartments. And they can just check off, hey, that's going well. This one maybe could use a little bit of work, but overall, and most creatives have jobs as well. Is my job going well? My relationships? And you can check off all of these different kind of compartments in your life. And each friend can be a compartment. How's my friendships? Am I still benefiting from them? I'm breathing. I'm breathing. I woke up. I have a day in front of me that I can live this life with gratitude. The one thing that maybe is not checking off, that's not doing well, doesn't have to affect all of these other compartments. Is that making sense?
It makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. But waking up, I think, with gratitude instead of despair is a huge one. And that's one of that's a decision. That's a cognitive decision. what's the word I'm looking for? I'm not finding it. Intentional.
Yeah.
You know, you hear that word a lot.
Yeah, a lot.
But it's the mind making the attitude, and it's a decision. It's a cognitive decision and set intention. So we're actually getting into the form of metacognition. I don't know if you've heard of that term. Okay, so it's thinking about our thoughts.
Yeah.
A creative might wake up in the morning and go, okay, let me set my thought process. Let me set it first with what do I, you know, just talking to myself, give myself 5 things to be grateful for as soon as I wake up.
Yeah.
And set that kind of positive intention going first, because that can change the whole day.
Yeah.
When you realize these things that you have, and people, relationships, circumstances to be grateful for. Personally, sometimes I will be in a bit of a depressed state. As an empath, I can vicariously take on some of my clients' emotions and feelings and pain. And I may wake up that way. But I'll open up these curtains, and I'll look out into the park, and just go, wow. I'm really grateful to be standing up and breathing, and to be able to live in a place like this. I'm blessed. I'm truly blessed. Look at my wife, be thankful for her.
Yeah.
Go, you're doubly blessed. You're like somewhere, you know.
You really are.
Yeah. So I think it's that morning intention and the way you it sets the trajectory for the day. When the problem comes up again, because problems are going to be there.
There will be.
Yeah. You're better able to address it. Another thing I teach is managing expectations, even for ourselves. To be forgiving to ourselves, and it's expectations, and I'm not saying lower them, but adjust them or manage them.
Or manage them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As a creative, the expectation is probably very high. The standards for oneself.
It is.
Right? The kind of the perfectionist part of a person, the A-type person, type of person. Perfection is, if it's not reached, then it can ruin the whole day.
It can.
It can ruin the week.
It can.
Ruin the month. It can ruin the year.
And we could go on.
Yeah, it could go on.
Yeah.
It could ruin relationships.
Yeah.
Because the expectation is so high. But now, adjust that. Give yourself some reasonable expectations. And sometimes waking up and dealing with the problem, you can just say, okay, I see it. This is back to the kind of the compartmental idea. I understand that compartment is damaged, but let me just come back and address it after I visit all of these positive ones. Because the hole in the ship, or the damage that's being done, needs to be addressed.
It does.
I'm not saying sweep it under the rug and forget about it. No. You have to come back to it and address it, but within the confines of that compartment.
Yeah.
Yeah. I hope that helps with an early morning checklist.
And also answering the next question that I was about to ask about quick fixes, but that's sorted out, because those ones that we talk about, being in nature, talking to a friend, just actually having some few solutions that you can have for yourself whenever you feel like you're in a depressive state.
Yep.
And maybe to also just ask, therapists are human beings, right? Yeah.
Very
so
much
how personally, I mean, everyone has something that makes them happy. For example, for me, when I see nature, somehow all my problems kind of disappear. When I hear the flowing of water, something just, that feels really good.
Yeah.
What do you do for you as a therapist? Like, how do you offload that? Because that's a lot of weight you carry. Like, you've worked with people of different ages, you've worked with people with different challenges. How do you offload? How do you get out of that space, and that you're able to go back and give your 100% as much as possible?
To answer the question, a very good one, because it's so important. There's such a thing as burnout, and therapists get it.
Yeah.
I used to teach self-awareness and taking care and self-compassion to my to my group of therapists. I was a lead and a team lead in a clinic in downtown San Diego. And I would teach them to watch out for burnout and take care of themselves.
Yeah.
It actually happened to me. Snuck up on me and knocked me down for at least 2 years. I didn't even go to work. I wasn't even able to go to work. So learning how to do it professionally, for me personally, I happen to be a believer. I'm a Christ follower, and the only way to be, as far as I'm concerned, for myself.
Sure. Yes.
Absolutely. So in that whole idea of surrendering my entire being to the Heavenly Father, the Creator, who created me, fearfully and wonderfully made. Right, David?
Yeah.
That really helps, having the faith and being able to pray about these things and kind of in a visceral, physical way voice my concerns and my pains that I can experience, and then ask for help. Help me with this. Acknowledge it. So prayer, belief, faith, probably Kwanzaa, really helps. Physical activity, getting out and walking, fresh air, sunshine. Sunshine is extremely important for all of us.
It is.
Yeah, what our bodies do with the sun creates vitamin D, right? That's quite common knowledge. I'm not as blessed in the melanin department as my wife and my colleagues here, but I need that sun, a little bit of it. My African friends, and you have to spend a little bit more time in the sun. But it's so important.
It is.
Get that fresh air and get the sun, because it's for brain health. It's for your immune system, and it can really just help kind of cleanse whatever's got you wound up. So physical exercise, eating well. Eating well is very, very important for me to be relatively healthy. I know, I'm Mosaic now, so it's hard to get rid of this thing. But yeah, eating well and communicating with my wife. We also pray together. It's helpful. But then there's times when I encounter things that I don't need to share with her. There's deeper things going on, and she's not my therapist. She cannot take these things on herself.
Yes.
No, that's not her role.
Yeah.
So I have a therapist. Who I see every now and again. Especially when I'm starting to feel the weight. Just last year in October, it was a time I just need to get away. So I left, and Sharon, my wife, encouraged me. I took off to the coast all by myself for 6 days. Just walked the beach, got out of the offices, just told my boss that, look, I'm out. I'm not around. And didn't take calls, didn't do emails. Just really took a short sabbatical sort of thing and got away. And that's helpful. But I think over time I've become very self-aware of when I need a break. And you got to take it. Because it can become too much. And I'm human.
It's interesting that if a therapist actually needs a therapist, then how much more for the people who don't know what the details of mental health look like? Because some of us are just, it's mental health, that's fine. But you've studied it and you've seen everything that happens in there. So if you need a therapist, we all need. And just to be clear, this is not a substitute for therapy. So if you need any professional help, 1-145 Boothers, please make sure that you seek professional help. So maybe as we wind up, just one last question. You mentioned you're a believer, and there's a lot of non-discussions about mental health in church. Like there's someone I was talking to, and they were telling me how they are just trying to introduce the whole idea of mental health to the church. And I've had a lot of derogative statements. Mental health, I don't know if it's derogative or not, but it just didn't come off well for me. That must be a spiritual attack. There must be something wrong with you, and you have probably allowed demons and the devil to take over your soul, and you're like, okay, now I need to pray my mental illness away. Yeah. So what is the place of, as a believer, what is a mental space for a believer, first of all? And should I just pray away my problems? Should I take my Bible and read it and go down on my knees and take a 40-day dry fast and tell God, take away my mental issues? Or is there something else that I need to do? Because I am trying to understand, I don't know, I could be wrong, that the brain is a part of the body, just like the liver and the kidney. And if there's an issue with the liver and the kidney, you most times won't go down on your knees to pray, right? You will go to a doctor and ask for help. So if you were to address that issue around the believer and just pray about it, read the word of God, and A, B, C, and D, you don't need to go see a therapist, because a therapist is not going to really help you as much. What would you say about that?
I like your example of an illness somewhere else in the body. Obviously, if it gets bad enough, we go see a doctor.
We go see a doctor.
But we also pray.
We also pray.
I think there's a holistic approach to it. Because most of mental health challenges, I'll just say that, because it's not always an illness, it can be a challenge as well.
Yeah.
For example, anxiety is a very high level of cortisol in our systems, and the level is high, and it doesn't go down and up and down like it should in a normal functioning brain.
Yeah.
It's always at a high level, and it can destroy a person. There's depression is a physical, it's a biological issue. Yes, you can pray about it. Absolutely.
Yes, absolutely.
Be in the Word.
Yeah.
And trust and have that faith that God is there. But at the same time, let's look for some help, for some tools to handle these things. And in some cases, Dawa's medicine is necessary.
Is necessary.
Just like insulin is necessary for a diabetic. It's very, very important. So I would say do both. Yeah, do both. Because the therapeutic outlet is so amazingly healing, just because you're getting things off of your chest. And you're actually speaking to somebody that knows how to give you tools, to give you ideas, maybe some insights you weren't addressing. Maybe there was a past trauma, and you really, that past trauma is interrupting, it raises its ugly head in times and spaces that you don't need it, in the form of flashbacks, or just intrusive thoughts, or even a sense that it's happening again. What an uncomfortable way to live. And that happens to Christians as well. Believers as well. So a holistic approach, I would say, is perfectly fine. But don't just do one and not the other.
Yeah, because the Bible says, do not worry, do not be anxious about anything, but with prayer, everyone just kind of believes that a Christian should not be worried.
Okay, how do you do that?
I don't know. But I was actually arguing and telling someone, if there was no worry in the world, then Paul wouldn't have written that.
Right.
So there will always be worry. There will always be a spot in our lives where we're feeling this is not working out, and it's totally okay. That doesn't mean that you trust God less. It's just an indication of your weakness, right? Yeah, so thank you. Thank you for that, because I know sometimes we are our own doctors, in very huge quotes, and we feel like we do not need this, because me struggling with depression, how is that even possible? I go to church every day. I wake up early in the morning to pray, and all that comes with it. But thank you for giving us the pointers, and we're really grateful. So at the 145 booth, we are trying as much as possible to create a safe space, and that's why the booth the booth at the end. It's just a little safe space. And every guest who comes to the podcast, we are trying as much as possible to just allow our guests to be able to reach out to you. I don't know if that's okay for you, and to just probably get help. Yeah,
it's okay.
So maybe you can tell us how we can reach you.
Sure.
Yes, please.
I'll give you my email, my personal email. Maybe you can post it as well.
Yes.
But it's DMJONES. Basically my name, David M. Jones, but it's DM Jones 1010 at gmail.com.
All right. Thank you so much. So they can actually reach out for...
actually reach out.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I can see, everybody, but I can definitely refer and offer some kind of maybe assistance.
Yeah, and
certainly.
I love how you told us that for you therapy is like a ministry.
Yes.
Yeah, I love that, because I know there's nothing wrong with looking at it as a profession and a way of making your money, but I believe that that's what we've been called to do, to first of all serve the church, to serve the believers, to serve everyone else around us, and to just edify everyone around us. And so this is very wholesome. And thank you for coming to this show.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for having me and giving me the opportunity.
Yeah, and also for the offer that we can come back and just chill.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you guys, this place is beautiful. I would love to come back over and over again. Thank you so much. We appreciate your time, and we shall be back for sure, because we can't get all the details in one show.
Right.
And thank you so much for having us.
There's so much more to talk about.
Yeah, a lot more.
I feel like we just kind of got started and scratching the surface.
A little bit.
Yeah.
A little bit. And we are proud and we are happy to have you as one of our people at the 145 booth. We are very grateful.
You're
thank you
very
so
welcome.
much, David.
It's my pleasure, and thank you for what you're doing, because it needs to get out there.
It does.
Yeah, the word needs to get out.
Yeah, and there's a lot that is yet to be unpacked. Like, I feel that there's so much we're learning, and I'm sure the crew can also attest to that. And thank you. Thank you again. Thank you guys for joining us for the season finale. That doesn't mean that this is the end. We still have season 2. And if you haven't been able to catch up with all the other episodes, please make sure that you do. Make sure that you're subscribed to our YouTube channel at the 145 booth. Make sure that you're following us on all our socials. Interact with us, like, share, ask questions. Please reach out to people who are going to help out. Don't go through it alone. As I usually say, never walk alone. You're not on your own. At the 145 booth, we're here for you. Yes, our social media platforms at the 145 booth. Thank you for interacting with us. Thank you for working with us. Thank you for your ideas. Thank you for the comments. Thank you for everything that you have been to us. And I hope that this is a wonderful safe space for you, and that we can continue being a wonderful booth. So thank you so much. I have been your host, Lydia Ndwiga, and see you in the next season.